Okay, congratulations, you've finished framing. Now it's time to transition from a framing carpenter to a finish carpenter. You're going to use more specialized tools. You're going to understand that the work you're doing from this point forward will be highly visible. Any stray hammer marks, bent nails, shiny nails, things like that will probably have to be removed, covered, and repaired. You do not want to deface your project. You want to make sure you're being gentle. Gentle, professional, you're a finished carpenter now. One of the things we need to do in preparation for our roof sheathing and roofing is get fascia installed. The fascia we're going to be using is very expensive finished wood. It is 3.5 by 3/4 inches, and most of the pieces are 12 feet long. You're going to start by putting fascia on your left and right sides, drip edge sides, and then we'll do the rear gable and then the front gable. There is some special cuts that have to be made in preparation for mounting to the left and right sides. I'll show you that once we get the fascia up and installed. So here we have our first piece of fascia. Let's move that thing on over there. Let's do our upper side first. And we're going to rotate it 90 degrees, and we're going to put the corner right into the corner. Alright, right off the bat, I want you to notice that when we put this fascia up to the edge of the angle and we look at the roof line, this fascia sticks out at 90 degrees and our roof line travels down at 17 degrees. So that is one cut that I will make for you on the table saw. We're going to rip the length of this fascia. Let me do that now for you. And on the table saw, I will perform this cut for you. We'll get that out of the way. Alright, now the fascia has been ripped to match the slope of the roof, and it's right up to the edge of the angle. When you nail this on, you're going to use the finish nailer, 3-inch galvanized nails for exterior use. You're going to nail through and into the tail of each rafter, nail, nail, and then you're also going to nail into the double top plate, nail, 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 up along there. Don't get crazy, but get enough in there that it's going to be held on. Let's go with one nail in the tail and one nail below it into the double top plate. That should be enough to hold that fascia on. Alright, now, you'd think measuring is the best way to go with trim, but that's actually not the case. In many instances, we don't measure, we trace. So you'll hold it up, you'll trace for length, and you'll cut it off to the right length. This one is at the right length already. Alright, let's put our piece on the other side now. Got a piece here ready to go. M for move. Up to the corner. Right to the corner, and again we look at the roof line and we've got to do some table saw work here. So I'll do this for you on the saw. There we go. And I'll trim that away for you. And now our fascia matches the 40-degree angle of our long rafter. Alright, once those two are on, remember we're going to nail one nail into the tail of the rafter and one nail into the double top plate all the way down the length of the fascia. Once those are in place, then it's time to do the gable ends. Now the most visible part of our structure is the front, above the front door. So we're going to do that last. So we're going to learn our lessons on the back side, and then we'll bring that knowledge over here to the front side. Alright, speaking of the back side, let's take a look. Alright, here we have another piece of fascia. Let's rotate it 90 degrees, and let's get it over close to where it's going to be going. Now, in many cases we don't measure, we trace when we're working with trim. There is something you're going to want to do in preparation though. We need to cut this angle onto our fascia. Don't cut it to length yet, but we're going to cut this angle. We look at the plans and the angle should be 17 degrees. So let's go ahead and make that cut on our fascia now. 17 degrees. So I'm going to use my protractor here, and I'm going to come over with 17 degrees. Now I'm going to make that cut on the miter saw. You'll make this cut in preparation for putting the trim, fascia trim up into place. Alright, so there's our 17-degree cut. Now, you and a partner will get up on scaffolding or some other approved method of reaching up to this high peak, and you will lay this into place. It extends over by design. One guy is holding it here, the other guy is going to come around this side, and he is going to trace. Oh, with the pencil, something's wrong here. We don't have the right angle. I'm going to try this again. Should be exactly 17 degrees. Interesting. Okay, well, this is actually a good time to discuss what we will do, because you're going to encounter these things real life on your structure. You cannot extend above the top of the rafters. So this right here cannot be. We could actually be a little bit lower. That will be hidden by flashing, but we cannot extend above. So in real life, if you find that that is the case, you've got to lower this down so that it does not extend above your rafter. I want to do that just by tweaking my angle a little bit. I think it's probably like a 17.2 or something. Alright, so you got that in place. You're not sticking above the face of your rafter. You cannot have that. You're going to mark it with a pencil and cut it on the miter saw, and the cut should be 17. But make it match. Line up your miter saw so that it matches. Alright, one last cut we're going to do is a horizontal cut. You could trace this as well. Horizontal cut across the bottom. So trace this using your miter saw. Cut across the bottom, get that little detail out of there. Now I want you to look at the overlap. We put this piece on first and this piece on second. When we look at the house from this angle, we can see that seam. That's not that big of a deal, but it's not ideal. And so we do this overlap in this direction so that when we're looking at it from the front, we do not see that seam. So that was by design, that we put this side piece on first, the drip edge side first, and then the eave side, and then we put the gable side on second so that the overlap was prettier from the front side. Alright, that was our first piece. We need another piece now. Alright, we got another piece of fascia. Now, we want to pre-cut this angle. Well, now you actually can't do that. This is going to be tricky. We're going to have to get kind of tricky here because we have two different angle slopes. This is going to be a little bit tricky. You're going to have to do some tracing and some hand cutting, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be a challenge. So let's take a look at this. If we look at the plan, we see that this is a 40-degree angle over here, 40 degree. So with that then, I'm going to rotate my piece of fascia to 40 degrees. And I want to take that thing up to the top. And I'm going to lock it right in place. Now you would be tracing this. You're going to have to trace this, and it is going to be a treat, so just be prepared. I'm checking to make sure I'm not hanging into the roof line in any way. I am not. I can go ahead and make this cut down here. Line, line, cut it away. And then you would have traced this down here for a straight line. Line, straight, and cut it away. Alright, now let's talk about what you got to do up here. You're going to have to carefully trace out this odd two-angled shape right here. And we have to do it that way, otherwise it will have a weird gap in it. And the reason that is because we have two different angles. We have 17 and a 40, so they don't quite, the faces don't quite line up right. All right, from a distance, that looks pretty darn good. After you get really good at doing all that, then you're going to transfer that to the front. You're going to cut another set and do the same thing on the front. And now your roof fascia is done.